We want to watch all, and I believe that we have this video on USB. Do we? We have it on USB, so when you come home, you put it in the computer, you watch all 8 minutes because it's exciting video, but we need to find and to start our exciting part of panel discussions. And I would like to invite to the stage our first panel, Ms. Natasha Pilidis, Deputy Minister of Shipping, Mr. Prabhat Kumar Jha, Group Managing Director and CEO of MCSC Ship Management, and the moderator of this panel discussion, Mr. Marios Andreou, President of Cyprus-India Business Association.
I think the Cypriot business world is very excited to have, as the first Deputy Minister of Shipping, such a capable and exciting and energetic person, and right messages sent by the government. But before going on to talk about how India and shipping can be together, I am aware that in your previous role as Director General of the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency, you were quite involved with a few things that have to do with India. Can you share a bit of that with us?
Of course. First of all, congratulations for the excellent speech to you and, of course, the High Commissioner. It was very informative and very inspiring, and I think, and also the excellent videos and Suraj's presentation show that there are a lot of creative ideas from both sides, and there is a lot of common ground. And I really think that since Your Excellency, you are in need of further human contact, we are definitely at your disposal to plan out an action plan for the next couple of years on how we can enhance the relationships and how we can have a stronger relationship. I mean, of course, the relationship has always been friendly. It's always been very constructive. There has been the period that you mentioned of a slight slowdown. But we hope to overcome that now, since the right grounds have been set. And I think Cyprus has also taken huge steps in terms of really becoming one of the most robust countries in the European Union in terms of transparency and regulation. And for that reason, we share the same mentality on those grounds. Now, in terms of specific sectors where we can work together, I take your point about IT and ICT in general being, or India being a centre of excellence for ICT. We do have a lot to learn. We also have a lot to offer, and I think regional headquartering, which I'll mention a little bit later on, can be particularly useful in terms of ICT, because Indian companies do have a lot to offer in terms of technology to the whole of Europe, not just to Cyprus. And by finding a base here in Cyprus to actually operate, I think they would have access to a huge market for any kind of activity within the IT sector. Now, Cyprus is a small market, but it also has needs which could be addressed through such a budding relationship. Now, in terms of finance, investment funds is something worth mentioning. Cyprus has recently developed some legislation which has been extremely conducive to attracting alternative, or actually to addressing the need of alternative financing, which is a great need, for example, in shipping. Prabhat, I think we can discuss it later on. Traditional methods of funding are no longer what companies want or need. They're not, and they're no longer as accessible. So investment funds are a way of addressing that and of giving the opportunity to a wider pool of investors to actually invest in areas where they wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to invest. So with the legislative framework now in place and further improved by some additional changes which are in the pipeline, I think that we can cater to these needs specifically with regards to India and other non-EU jurisdictions which have interests in this area. In terms of education, which you also mentioned, I think both countries have some excellent education opportunities, and I think collaboration is key to strengthening the relationships in terms of the numbers of students that go to each country. We have a few centres of excellence in the pipeline. Some of them obtained Horizon 2020 funds, and we're hoping to create some very exciting centres where not just ICT but also other technologies can be developed, and hopefully there will be collaborations between universities, and those will also enhance the number of students experiencing each other's countries. That's very important in terms of really getting the people to feel passionate, as Natalia said, about the relationship between India and Cyprus. When people spend time in a country, they become obviously much more connected to it, and I think education is a very good starting point. Now, Marius, you mentioned filming. I did have the opportunity to work on the incentives which have now been introduced in Cyprus. We are still waiting for, part of the incentives needs parliamentary approval, so that's what's going to be happening in the next couple of months. The Council of Ministers' final approval for promotion of the legal drafts to Parliament has been obtained, I think, a few weeks ago, if I remember correctly. And so we expect to see developments in the very near future. In the meantime, the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency has been working a lot on things like translating everything into English, making it much more user-friendly, and an interactive website where everything will be included, so that, of course, the applicants can make their applications online and be catered to online by people who will be monitoring the website. High Commissioner, Your Excellency, you mentioned tourism and medical tourism. That's another huge opportunity, I think, for both countries. We have also expanded a lot in medical tourism in recent years. We have the German Oncology Center, for example, which started its operations in September of last year, but also many other projects and initiatives which we were working on before. And I think a collaboration on those in those areas would also be very, very beneficial. Now, I've left shipping for last because I believe we might have another conversation on it, and I think I'll let Prabhat speak on that. So I'll just end by saying regional headquartering is something that applies to every single sector, including shipping, which we will talk about. And that's the beauty of it. It doesn't matter what sector of the economy someone is operating in. Cyprus can be an excellent base for access into the European Union and into many other countries with which we have good relations and double tax treaties. We still have a very competitive environment in terms of value for money, especially for the talent pool that is available here, because we also have a multilingual workforce, which is in many cases, such as in shipping, very specialized. So that's a huge opportunity, I think, for collaboration, and hopefully also we can find out how it works in practice as well.
Very comprehensive. I'll just share, if I can, Excellency, that in the first time I met you, you mentioned that you have some links with some producers in India, so I'm sure you will play a very catalytic role in attracting them once we have the whole framework in place. But your comment about regional headquarters and EU headquarters, I think, gives me the opportunity to pass to Prabhat. Now, you came to Cyprus about 10 years ago, or more than 10 years ago. Yes. So, and you've using Cyprus as your headquarters now. So can you tell us about what made you first come to Cyprus and how it evolved for you, and what are your current thoughts on it?
Morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, Mario. So, I think it is an interesting story how we landed in Cyprus. 10 years ago, I didn't know anyone in Cyprus. Cyprus wasn't promoted that well, and I believe that there is still a great potential to promote the Cyprus among the Indians. I was happily in Hong Kong, well set for almost 7 years, working for the same company, MSC. MSC is the second largest container carrier in the world. We are the fastest growing cruise company in the world. We employ something 70,000 people across the globe. So I was told that we have a problem in a company and to go there for a while, and 3 months' time, you can take all the ships and go back to Hong Kong. So there I came, and I took it as a challenge. I was so pleased by the welcome by the local people, which I miss so much in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a really professional place, but you couldn't build something, a friendship. So I astonished by the similarities of the family culture and the values that we have in India, in the Cyprus, and more important in our own company, MSC, which is a family-led company, still a private. So these three gelled so together, and the result was that not only I didn't go back, we in fact closed down all our ship management across outside, and we brought everything in the Cyprus. And today we are one of the biggest in-house ship management company in the world. From the Cyprus, we control about 14,000 people working on the ships in a different location. We are a regional headquarter, I would say, that we have companies in Ukraine, in India. In India, we have 6 offices that we all control from here. We have the agency network right from the Russia to Bangladesh, Pakistan, Dhaka, Romania, and all the places. So, and it is working very well. And in fact, the company management wants to even promote Cyprus even more. And we're trying to bring also a lot of holding companies in the Cyprus. So the Cyprus has indeed, not only by its own the attractive tonnage taxation, by the warmth of the people and the readiness for the people to make welcome, you know, like you're welcome here, you're not a foreigner here, you know. I mean, I didn't feel any time that I was away, you know. Okay, you did miss out in the beginning the privileges that you can go out shopping on the Sundays and you can go 9 o'clock from the office, but those things are there now actually. So I had such a wonderful experience that we decided to be here. I was asked that, do you want to go back? I said no. And all the people that we moved from the Hong Kong, we moved a lot of Indian people. It was the best decision that they have ever made. Not only because we did as a company very well, all our children, thanks to the very high quality of the education that we have, they have done the wonders. You know, I'm pretty proud that my daughter was 2 years ago for the IGCSE, she was a topper in the whole Cyprus actually. And so are the other people's children. So, I mean, it is not only the work, it is the people, the support system that you have. I mean, we celebrate Diwali with all our staff together. We employ nearly 200 staff and we celebrate Diwali every year. And I think we'll have maybe bigger Diwali celebration knowing all the people now actually. We have a special permission from the government for doing the fireworks together. I mean, I was told that this year we are going to have a second year Run in Color marathon in October, which is inspired by the Indian Holi. So there are a lot of cultural and historical ties that was already mentioned. And this is all gelling it together. And MSC, what we're seeing is the economic firepower of India and Cyprus working together. Plus also this is giving impetus to the social and cultural changes that is we have to face together in this growing world actually. So my experience have been extremely positive, and I have not come across anyone in our company or outside who would have another. There are challenges, you know, sometimes I wish the government legislations were in English, but we do find a way to get around this one.
I think someone next to you is listening to that. So, and I think perhaps that's perhaps our failing as well in promoting Cyprus to the rest of the world. In sometimes we've remained with like Cyprus is just a place that has a low tax rate. There are many more places in the world that have a 0 or much lower tax rate than Cyprus. I think that the key point here is that when you're talking about setting your business somewhere, you need to look holistically where you can do the business there, you can have people who can do the business there, so educated workforce, the connectivity, your family can actually live there and feel safe and go to good schools and so on. And I think Cyprus has the whole package. And sometimes, at least my colleagues from my network, when they talk to me, they say, what you need to do is actually get people from your network to come to Cyprus. Once they come to Cyprus, they realize and they correct the version they have in their minds about what Cyprus is about. They realize the business opportunities, and then the whole discussion is very different. But moving back to the shipping, now our shipping industry is very successful. I think it amounts to about 7% of our GDP. How do we increase that? By working closely with India.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I mean, how many companies we have from India. You're right, we don't have very many. We have very significant companies from India, MSC being one of the largest in the world, of course. We also have FML Fleet Management in Nicosia. It's one of the only shipping companies to be based in Nicosia. And we recently had one other company moving its some of its Dubai activities into to Cyprus. But obviously, considering the magnitude and the extent, the strength of the sector in India, there are a lot of opportunities for collaboration. I think in terms of what do we do in terms of branding, if you like, and getting the message out there, there's a lot to be done, because we haven't really, in terms of shipping, we haven't really done any targeted activities to promote the collaboration. And for shipping, targeted collaboration is what we need. So more than going to conferences and speaking to people is a good starting point, but we need to actually approach the companies with ideas on how to collaborate, and I think that's what we need to start planning to do in the next year or so. Certainly I am very, very positive to doing that, and actually finding and identifying the give and take relationship which will make which will make sense for both parties. I think that's essential, and I think that can be there because of the positive relationship that's existed for many years with the companies that would give positive feedback. I think having the case studies of people who've done it and are happy is much, much stronger than beginning from scratch. I think as a shipping deputy ministry to the president, what we have to offer beyond the ordinary, let's say, or what everyone else is offering, you are absolutely right that in shipping there's not a lot of competition in terms of the advantages that everyone has. Everyone has a tonnage tax system, so yes, of course, ours is good and it's EU approved, and it's always been EU approved since 2010. We were the first country to actually obtain that approval. However, there are so many more things that come together to actually make sense to companies and to people, and I think the people are also the key, as Prabhat said, because people need to be happy if they live in a place. So from the public sector standpoint, what do we offer? I think what we offer is excellence of service, not in the sense that we never make mistakes or we don't have things that we can improve on, but in terms of the willingness to always be there for our clients. We, as a deputy ministry, we view the users of our systems as our clients. We value them. We want them to feel appreciated, and I think that is the best promotion and the best thing that that any public authority can do, and I hope that we are doing it, and I hope that we will continue to be doing it in the future. We have open dialogue and open communication with all the companies that are based here, and we listen, and we hope that we can actually implement all the feedback, all the suggestions that we get.
Any last suggestions from you, Prabhat, to the Deputy Minister on shipping?
I think the Cyprus, what it has achieved in terms of the shipping, there is a lot that can collaborate with India, because if you see that India has like exports, I mean the GDP is growing at the rate of 7%, and there is a lot of export and import, and we all know that 90% of the cargo is being moved by the ships. So the Indian shipping, India, in spite of being a 3 trillion economy, the Indian shipping is, I would say, it is at a very back foot actually. And there is a tremendous room for the shipping industry to grow. And the Cyprus can be a really good role model when it comes to either the flag registration or in terms of the ship management. India completely lacks these regulations and expertise where it can really fill in the gap. And today there are a lot of Indian ship owners, but they are not in India. They have gone to India, Hong Kong, they have gone to Singapore. But if I see from there, being in Hong Kong here, Cyprus offers much better tonnage tax framework, much better facilities, which has not been marketed, and it could be a really a big room for the Cyprus to showcase. And till the time, say, India catch up with this thing, it can be a big base for the Indian shipping companies to operate from here. And if you see the booklet, I mean, though I had that 3-4 projects, 142 ports being made in India, and the inland waterways being, India has 9,000 kilometers of the coastal trade. And there is going to be a huge amount of the shipping coming out, actually. And if Cyprus can really capture a bit of it, I think both the economies will really benefit from each other. And there is something also I would like to bring to the both sides of the government, that for the shipping to grow, you need a lot of manpower. And India, being the billion population country, has it. And there is a lot of maritime training institutes which can offer large amount of the crew members, which remains a shortage in the world still today, to cater for all this development. And if there was any better tax regime between the two countries identifying this opportunity, it can really work wonders. So there is a lot of room for both sides to identify and grow. And the shipping is definitely one of them. I mean, I do admit the film is there, tourism is there, but the shipping is a silent part which can overtake actually all these things.
Sure. And with your permission and comments made by the High Commissioner earlier, I will try and follow this up. I will organize lunch at the Indian restaurant near the High Commission, where we can discuss further with the High Commissioner and Suresh, especially on shipping, what we can do, and take it from there.
So, if I may, one last comment from me in terms of the cluster. Shipping has created a huge cluster in Cyprus of ancillary activities. So when we talk about shipping, we talk about the management, of course, we talk about the ownership, but we also talk about things like shipping finance, shipping insurance, brokerage, and even logistical activities that have to do with that have more of an opportunity now with the privatization of the Limassol port, and also with the relationship with other countries like Egypt, for example, which are also trying to increase their port activities. So I think the conversation really can focus not just on shipping, but on shipping as a cluster, and how can that cluster be strengthened here in Cyprus, and with input and from India as well.
Okay.
Then I would definitely add up, because there is something. I mean, Cyprus is promoting the startup visa schemes, and the shipping was quite at the behind the rest of the industry in terms of the technology, which is really growing very well. And at MSC, we have the kind of the technology today that we have brought into daily operation, which is quite ahead. So there is a big room for Cyprus to catch up this growing digitalization in the shipping, which can actually not only, India, it can transfer to all the rest of the world actually, and where we believe that having this cluster is going to give this startup a big support actually. Then it can be used for Make India, Clean India, Digital India. There is so much to be done actually.
Excellent. So, Excellency, we will follow up with you. Natalia, I know we're a bit over our time, but the discussion was very interesting, so I had to let it flow. Deputy Minister Prabat, thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you.
I like panel discussions. Take your seats, and we will change the panel. Now, Ajay is already on the stage. He is a moderator of the second panel, Creative Entrepreneur and Venture Investor in High-Tech and Internet Startups. They will change, you may sit anywhere you wish. They will change now the names on the plaques and also some water. And meanwhile, I invite here Ms. Anna Karafolidou, Director, Royal Commonwealth Society Cyprus branch, Mr. Kostas Katsaros, practicing advocate specializing on banking, finance, real estate law. So please take your seats. Ms. Elena Tano, Vice President of Top Kinesis Travel, Ms. Ariti Haridemu, lawyer, managing partner of Ariti Haridemu Associates. So panel discussions have their beauty because we do not have anything written, we don't have presentations. We can discuss, we can decide whatever we want. And now I give the floor to my friend Ajay, who will be moderating this panel discussion. So any seats, you are taking any seats, and Tatiana will bring now the signs and she will put it accordingly. All right, Ajay, the floor is yours.
Very appropriate that an India-Cyprus event is being organized by a Russian entrepreneur, because in 1990, if I'm not mistaken, when I created the first software company, which was the first software joint venture in the private sector between Russia and India, actually the holding company was a Cypriot company. And then as an Indian businessman, I created the Russian Digital Alliance, which was the first association of Russian software companies in outsourcing business. So nowadays, nationalities don't matter. We're all global citizens. And I will tell the High Commissioner that we can reserve an Indian passport for Natalia also. So I will not make any speech. I will just state a very interesting fact. In 2015, IBM commissioned a global study about the future of the world economy. And these economists that were very well-respected economists from World Bank, Harvard, Chicago, they concluded that the 21st century belongs to India. What does it mean? It means that India is poised to become one of the strongest economies in the world. In what context we can put it? For much of 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries, right up until the barbarians arrived in India, in fact, India was the world's greatest economy. It was much bigger than all of Europe put together. It was certainly bigger than United States. And it was much bigger than China and Japan. The only reason Indian economy could not sustain its prosperity was that unlike much of the Western economies, it was not based on war. Indian economy, as Indian people, were so peaceful, so pacifist. We did not have fortifications in India. We did not have standing armies in India. We did not have armaments production in India. Indians are warriors. But they lived in peace with each other, despite having 40 languages. Look at the history of Europe, how all Europe fights with each other. We haven't had that in India for 1,000 years. Indians live in peace with each other. So they were not prepared for a Western invasion or a barbaric invasion. Now that India is a democracy, it's a strong country, it's a very well-defended country, it's a very diverse country, it's a very highly educated country, it is poised for great things. Let me start with Areti. You have just returned from India, and I believe it is your third or fourth trip. Tell us your impressions about India and its economy.
I believe that the best...
I believe that the best knowledge is acquired by experience and by heart. So, I will talk from my personal experience and from my heart. I am dealing with Indians many years, and the first time I visited India was 30 years ago. I have very good relationship both on a personal level and on a professional level. Lately, actually last month, I visited India for attending a wedding. And it was so fascinating there. It was you realize that we share the same values. You see the families, the care, the ties of families, the care about their children, the concern, the agony, everything. Also, every time I visit India, I see a lot of difference in economy and in people, and the energy, the action, it's a fascinating country. I love India.
Let's ask Elena. You also traveled more than 10 times to India?
This is my 14th time.
14th time.
Last January, yes.
So, first of all, Cypriots, take that in. 14th time in India.
Okay. And actually,
tell us what's your feeling of India.
My first encounter with the country was back in 1983 when I just finished my studies in Switzerland, then went to England to work. There was a big community of Indians there. So I was really intrigued to go and visit their country. I love the Indian food as well, so I thought, let's go and taste the original Indian food. Actually, it was a shock to start with, because in those days it wasn't so developed. My visit in Accra to visit Taj Mahal, I thought I was living in times of Oliver Twist. It was so, primitive, but of course yet so authentic. So going back to UK, I started organizing trips to India for people to visit this authentic destination. Back in 1988, returned to Cyprus, and then ever since, I organize every summer, and of course nowadays people travel all over the time, many groups to India. Why India? It's so authentic, it's so cultural. It offers, unique experiences, because probably you visit Ireland to taste a medieval banquet, and probably you will do it, in a less touristic way, but it's virtual reality and so on. While in India, you can have tea with the Maharaja of Jaipur at the City Palace. It's so authentic. You can go in the Amber Fort in Jaipur, and you can go up in the fort with the elephants. Again, it's a unique experience. So I see the country developing so fast.
I'll come back to you and ask you about how India has changed since 1983 within a short time of 20 to 30 years as you go now. But Kostas, last year you were with the presidential delegation, and President Anastasiadis was very well received and with a lot of warmth in Delhi. And this was your first visit to India. What was your impression from this visit?
Compared to Eleni and Areti, I'm an amateur in Indian trips. But as you mentioned, and Marios also mentioned before, we had the chance to go there last year. It was an amazing trip, an amazing experience, and I remember a couple of things. I remember a lot of things, but a couple of things were impressive on the level of optimism and difference compared to the culture of European countries and what's going on over there. I remember the welcoming address speech of one official. If I remember well, he was the chairman of Yes Bank, and he was welcoming the president of the republic there. And his first words were, "Be ready to close a seat, book your flight ticket, as we are prepared to take off." And he was speaking about the Indian economy. So if you want to be a partner with us, just take your seat in our flight that it's on over to take off. On the same time, the level of the modesty and the politeness of the people being there in the audience. We were there. We had the chance to be there with very well respected people, wealthy. They were so modest, so polite. Everywhere you could see that. Imagine of being there for accompanying the president that the roads were all closed, and the people, instead of getting angry, were so polite. They were cheering us. So it's a very different level of culture, and I was really impressed on how Indian people are doing business, are living actually, and it's why they are so developing. I mean, it starts from the heart, as Areti said.
I think it's very interesting. All of you started mentioning about Indian culture and humility. Actually, I can open a secret now. It's no longer a secret. High Commissioner talked about transparency. He's such a humble, gentle person, but he's actually the toughest guy from India. He was head of India's Central Bureau of Investigation. He was the top policeman of the country. So, but he's so humble and so friendly and nice. This is the spirit of India. Anna, tell us what you do and what is the role of India in your worldview of this wonderful organization that you are running in Nicosia.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind words, Ajay, in the short introduction. I'm afraid my co-panelists have put me in front of a huge challenge because myself, I've never been to India yet. So I've placed the yet because I like to look at the glass half full instead of half empty. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to introduce very briefly the Royal Commonwealth Society Cyprus branch, which a few among you may already be familiar with. The Cyprus branch was established in 2017, but we are part of an organization, an umbrella organization, which has been there since 1868. So we are actually celebrating 150 years of RCS this year. So our branch is part of this network. We are a part of an international network of branches, but also other organizations and individuals that have as their core mission to promote the values and the principles of the modern Commonwealth, which I will not enumerate, but as you can imagine, among them we have the promotion of prosperity, the rule of law, human rights, sustainable development, growth, and so on and so forth. I took up my duties in last September, and I'm happy to share with you that I was humbled and touched that the High Commissioner of India was one of the first to support us in our activities. And also our sister organization, the Indian branch of the RCS, was one of the first to reach out, to welcome us, and one of the first to seek into approaching us. This resulting to a delegation coming from India back in January for context, a week of context with policymakers, academia, business people, and so on and so forth.
So, we'll continue. Areti, what fascinates me is that, for example, Dubai, it's also been built over the last 20, 25 years, all of New Dubai. And I think 90% of the investors in Dubai are Indians. And Dubai is, the size of construction in Dubai is maybe, even with the best of Cyprus plans, it's 1,000 times bigger. Why is it so much Indian investment goes to Dubai, so much Indian investment in London, so many Indians buying properties all over? Why don't we have Indian investors buying property in Cyprus? And what can we do to attract those guys to Cyprus? Direct flights, that's a good idea.
I believe buying properties in Cyprus is not enough. My vision, because Cyprus historically is a trade and business intersection between East and West, accepting different business cultures, approaches, and habits, and India is heading the innovation. Cyprus, unfortunately, left behind in this area of business. I believe that it would be a very good combination because Cyprus is a financial hub, and take into consideration the size and speed by which India innovates, it is the ideal area of cooperation because Cyprus being a hub, exporting innovation not only to Europe, but also to African countries, which are the next frontier, and innovation may assist hundreds of millions of lives of people. And I believe that where we should focus, and personally I do it by creating an accelerator, and I am a strong believer in startups and technology. My belief is the best area of cooperation and will be a great success if we all realize the importance of innovation and technology.
I can 100% agree with you. And I think innovation, entrepreneurship, new wealth creation is the way forward. Elena, tell us about the difference you've seen in India and how India has changed. I've been away from India now more than 25 years. I go regularly. I just went to visit my parents. I cannot recognize India. That is how fast it is changing. Tell us about the changes you have seen.
The same goes for me. The changes are vast and fast. I would start with the airport, which, I mean, you arrive now and it's, I mean, the procedures are much easier and fast. Then the fact that you have fantastic hotels. The level of the Oberoi or the Lila or whatever, it's amazing. You rarely find it in the world. And it's that Oriental style as well that it's really fascinating. In the past, it was difficult to convince the travelers that they will go to India and they won't get, with different gastroenteritis and all this. Today, they understand that you don't need to brush your teeth with bottled water. Yes. And the hotels now, they have filters that they're really, with the technology, amazing, so it's absolutely safe. Here, Mr. Modi invites his top of the range regarding tourism. Once was the yoga instructors, but last year when I was invited, it was his best 52 tour operators to India. And I mean, what a fantastic way for the head of the country to embrace, I mean, the sector of tourism, because it's the fastest growing
but in
sector.
Cyprus also we invite everybody for souvla. So
but I mean, it was a unique experience to do yoga with the Prime Minister. And then I will go to the fact that you have fantastic shopping. Shopping.
Okay.
And I mean, I thought it was the Cypriots that they adore shopping and they go to India. But then, because I go often, I witness that everybody enjoys, I mean, the uniqueness of all these handicrafts and the materials and the carpets and the jewelry and all that. So that's a fantastic sector, because if I take a Cypriot and they spent last year, average they spent about 15,000 euros. And I took quite a few ladies that they adore there.
Now we know why Indian hotels are doing so well. Actually, I noticed that Condé Nast Traveler has listed for about 10 years now, among the 10 best hotels in the world, about 5 are Indian hotels. Whether it is Udaipur, it is Mahabaleshwar, it's Oberoi Group, Taj Group, and so on. We'll continue with that. Kostas, financial, banking, corporate investments. Are we okay now as far as India, Cyprus, relations are concerned in terms of double taxation treaties? And is Cyprus at par with other countries vis-a-vis transit of capital or creation of holding companies? And if something needs to be done, what is it?
As it is mentioned, Cyprus is one of the biggest investors in India through foreign direct investments from Cyprus. And there was a lot of progress driven by the professionals here. And during the visit of the Cypriot president, a lot of agreements were signed and things are progressing well. I think that we have to, let me tell you that coming from Greece myself, and living here for the last 10 years and having the chance to serve in the group board of the Bank of Cyprus in a very sensitive period back in 2013-14, where the events of the banking crisis took place, I saw the decisiveness and the ability of the Cypriot people to do business and find solutions where big problems arise. So for me, it was an amazing experience to see how Cyprus reacted during the crisis. So instead of, for example, complaining for some problems, I hear a lot for a potential bubble of the real estate sector with the citizenship schemes and all this stuff that we hear. We can see the opportunity. For example, there is a lot of potential driven by the need for tax substance because of the new directives and legislation in Cyprus also, which is a part of EU and Eurozone. So here is the opportunity to create the infrastructure, you mentioned Dubai, and use it in order to attract major corporations. India is a massive country. We could drive our interest in attracting corporations from India and use the infrastructure that we are creating here in Cyprus so that we fill any gaps and create new businesses that really actually take place in Cyprus. The example of the shipping company is more than material.
I can only note with satisfaction now we are running out of time. So I'm going to do two things. One, Natalia, I proposed when we organized the panel that we will continue this discussion online. I think we should have interviews with all these wonderful panelists, publish them online, and I'll ask all of you to contribute at least a blog every 4 to 6 weeks so that we increase the interest of Indian businesses and corporations in Cyprus and increase the interest of Cypriot businesses in India. Anna, before we go, I have to ask you, are you going to help increase cultural exchanges and collaboration like the kind of things Elena is doing? And I hope we will have a direct flight, as the gentleman suggests. There's already such a lot of goodwill between Indians and Cypriots, but it seems that the level of engagement is so little. How are you going to help increase this level of engagement through the Royal Commonwealth Society?
Thank you, Ajay. This is actually part of the added value that we as RCS Cyprus aspire to bring into the field. So we form part of the civil society, we are non-governmental, but I would like to urge everyone in this room today to please reach out to us, make use of this platform, make use of the civil society to everyone's benefit. And I was very happy to hear Foreign Minister Christodoulidis last week at an event at the University of Nicosia, where we are based, where he announced that he would seek to open a dialogue and all avenues of communication with civil society, with think tanks and with researchers, offering their input in foreign policy formulation. So if the foreign minister is willing to do that, then I guess it's also perhaps a good idea for business and
so
the
on
rest.
that note, Natalia, thank you very much for organizing this event. Suresh, thanks a lot for all the help. High Commissioner, thank you for being such a gracious presence and host. And we hope we can continue this discussion and dialogue and see a manifold increase in Indian Cypriot cultural and economic relations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We need to thank all our panelists, and you may go to your seats. Before we complete our session, I was asked to ask here to invite to the stage Mr. Vohra, who is a teacher of Indian culture in the High Commission of India. And having this Indian mood here in the room, we will find out. I've been to one of his seminars, and he said very important thing. Yoga in India, it's not only gymnastics that the Western world see. Yoga in India is much more. So he will have 2-3 minutes intervention with us and explain to us what is the yoga maybe and the Indian culture and whatever it is. It is surprise for me. So, and we say thank you to Ms. Natasha Pilidis, who needs to run. She has foreign guests today in the country, and thank you for joining us here. So she will run to her foreign guests, and here, Mr. Govran Vohra.
Namaste everyone. Hello. I'm teacher of Indian culture. Since you're sitting for long, so we'll do something about desktop yoga. Are you ready for desktop yoga? Chair yoga? Okay, let's put our both the hands like this. Start rotating. Have a gentle smile on the face. Long deep breaths in and out. Start rotating. When the head is all right, everything is all right. Let's take the hand up and rotate the top of the head. Slowly, gently start cycling with the ear. Start cycling. In acupressure, it is said that all the body parts have a resembling point in the ears. An ear resembles just like a womb in the mother's womb. Child in the mother's womb. Keep rotating. And anti-clockwise. Keep smiling. Relax. So when you are in tension, what happens? The first thing is our eyebrows lift like this. So let's put the fingers like this and start moving with the eyebrows. Let's relax. Another thing that you see when you are out of tension is what? Your jaws get like this. So let's put the hands like this. Can you see some knots here? There are some knots here. That means you are naughty. Put the knots away. Relax. Let's put both the hands like this, up and down. Come, come, come. In today's world, nobody says come. No, nobody calls you. Everybody says go out. Go, 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 go. Let the air come. Let's rotate, make fist. Keep breathing with awareness. Anti-clockwise also. And relax. Let's put the neck up, breathing in up. Exhale down. Breathe in up. Exhale down. Breathing in up. Exhale down. Come to the center, relax, keep your eyes open. Let's put both the hands like this. Be careful of the person next to you, up and down. Breathe in up, exhale down, breathe in up, Exhale, down, up, down, up, and down. Relax. Keep your eyes closed. Slowly, gently, let's open the eyes. Let's take both the hands up. You can do all this while sitting on the office chair. You can do? Yes, up, further up, and slowly bring it down. So let's start doing shoulder pumping. And relax. Let's take the hand up, further up, stretch it up, bicep touching the ear, straight, elbow should be straight. Have a gentle smile on the face. Bring the hand down from side, take the other hand up, further up. Bring the hand down. Relax, keep your eyes closed. Just watch your breath for a couple of minutes. When we are in tension, we do shallow breathing. We are just breathing in and breathing out. On relaxation, we take long, deep breaths in and out. Let's breathe in and breathe out with ha sound. 2 more times. Breathe out with ha sound. Breathe in. Last time, breathe in. Slowly, gently, let's open the eyes. Let's stretch the legs in front like this. Stretch them in front, up and down, alternate. And relax. Thank you so much. So,
I think we need a separate session. So next time we have 1 hour and a half for speaking and then yoga lessons. Dear friends, I would like to thank you on behalf of organizers for being here today with us. I would like to invite you to remind you, some of you have received from us emails, some didn't, that tonight at 7 o'clock we have a reception, a welcome reception for investment conference, and all of you